Deep in the wild forests of Oregon, a team of explorers set out on a mission to uncover the truth behind one of the greatest mysteries in modern legend, Bigfoot. What they discovered, however, was far more chilling than any of them expected. When Bryce Johnson and his Expedition Bigfoot team sent a drone into an old, abandoned mine, they thought it would be a routine investigation. But moments after the drone disappeared into the dark tunnel, it suddenly went silent. No signal, no data, nothing. Later, when they reviewed the footage, it revealed something unbelievable, something alive. What began as a scientific search for evidence quickly turned into a descent into the unknown. The forests of Oregon have always been known for strange stories. Endless trees stretch for miles, hiding deep valleys and ancient mining trails that cut through the mountains like veins from another world. For the Expedition Bigfoot crew, this was the perfect place to look for answers. Bryce wasn't chasing myths. He was chasing data. For weeks, they had picked up heat signatures, found enormous footprints, and recorded strange low-frequency sounds that seemed to vibrate through the ground. All of these clues led them to one specific place: a half-collapsed mine hidden beneath a ridge of red rock. No one knew who had built it, and no maps showed it existed. Local people called it the Hollow, and according to their stories, something strange lived inside. The entrance was small and dangerous, impossible for any person to enter safely. Bryce looked into the black opening and said quietly, "That's a no-go." But there was a spark in his voice. Not fear, but challenge. If they couldn't go by themselves, they would send something that could. The team had brought a special drone, a carbon fiber crawler built to explore tight spaces. It had thermal cameras, floodlights, and sensors designed to handle pressure, dust, and electromagnetic interference. On paper, it was unstoppable. Everyone fell silent as the drone lifted off. The image on their screen was clear, the audio perfect. Slowly, it floated into the black mouth of the mine. Its lights carved a path through the darkness as it moved deeper and deeper. 50 feet, 75 feet, 100 feet. Then, without warning, the screen filled with static. "The telemetry's gone," the pilot said, confused. No signal, no warning, no reason. Bryce frowned. That wasn't supposed to happen. The drone's signal could travel through solid rock. Even if the video feed dropped, they should still have data. But everything was gone. The pilot whispered, "That's not terrain interference. That's suppression." Suddenly, the forest went completely still. No wind, no birds, just silence. Bryce looked at the mine and said softly, "Whatever's down there, it just shut us out." The loss of the drone hit the team hard. Drones don't just die mid-flight, not with that kind of tech. The pilot, a veteran with thousands of flight hours, stared at the blank monitor. "I would have had warning signs," she said. "Battery issues, overheating, something." But this was instant, like it hit a wall. Her voice trembled. It wasn't just technical confusion, it was fear. Bryce and his team began checking the data logs. Line by line, everything looked normal. No hardware issues, no temperature spikes. The signal hadn't faded, it had been cut. "That's interference," Russell Accord muttered, pacing. But from what? Maria Mayer checked her instruments. The magnetic readings were fluctuating wildly, rising and dropping in strange, impossible waves. There was no natural source that could cause such distortion. With no explanation, they decided to move across the ridge, hoping maybe the tunnel stretched under it. If they could reach another entrance, they might pick up the drone's signal again. The hike wasn't easy. The ground was covered in rusted machinery and broken timbers, remnants of Oregon's forgotten mining past. The deeper they went into the forest, the quieter everything became. Even their footsteps sounded swallowed by the trees. At last, the pilot powered the drone back on. A faint signal appeared. Then, flicker. A distorted video feed came to life. "I've got something," she whispered. On screen, they could see the tunnel branching into two paths. One looked like the old, hand-carved mine, with rotting wooden supports. The other path curved off to the west, smooth, symmetrical, and unnaturally perfect. "That's not a mine shaft," one of them murmured. "That's something else." The drone turned toward the new tunnel. Its camera showed something strange on the ground. Dusty footprints, long and human-like, pressed deep into the soil. The prints stretched far into the dark. Then the feed went black again. Bryce stared at the mine entrance, his voice Something doesn't want us seeing what's in there. When the signal returned, the image on the monitor made no sense. The tunnel floor was covered in green, thick moss and vines glowing under the drone's infrared lights. Maria whispered, "That's impossible." They were hundreds of feet underground. No sunlight, no water, no life should exist there. Yet the vegetation looked fresh and alive. The drone zoomed closer, capturing fine dust floating through the air, like pollen drifting in slow motion. The deeper it went, the stranger everything became. The tunnel walls shimmered with moisture, and tiny fragments embedded in the stone reflected light like glass. Sensors showed warm air pockets surrounded by freezing cold. "Those are heat blooms," Bryce said quietly. "Something's giving off energy." "Or body heat," Maria replied. Then they saw claw marks, dozens of them, long, deep, and deliberate, etched 8 feet above the ground. "Something was bracing itself here," Russell said. "Something tall." The pilot switched to thermal vision. For a moment, the screen exploded in red static. Then it stabilized, showing a massive upright shape at the far end of the tunnel, glowing bright against the cold rock. "Do you see that?" Maria gasped. "It's moving," the pilot whispered. The shape split into 2, then 3, flickering like a glitch. A deep vibration filled the audio. Not mechanical, not human. The drone jerked violently. "I'm losing it!" the pilot shouted. The feed blurred. Flashes of stone, streaks of red, something reaching toward the lens. Then, total black. Only one sound remained, a long, heavy exhale. Then, faint footsteps retreating deeper into the mine. Bryce's hands shook slightly. "It's aware of us," he said. "It's guarding something in there." By sunrise, the forest looked calm, but the team was shaken. They spent hours replaying the footage frame by frame. In the final second before the blackout, a faint shape appeared behind the glare, a tall, crouched figure turning its head directly toward the camera. The image was blurry, but the proportions were clear. Over 7 feet tall, broad shoulders, long limbs. "It's watching us," Bryce whispered. "It's intelligent." Then they noticed something else. The drone's flight logs showed a sudden spike, a gravitational anomaly so strong it couldn't be natural. Maria frowned at the numbers. "That's not interference," she said. "That's distortion." Cross-checking local geological data, she found no magnetic field capable of such effects. "Something in that mine is generating power," she concluded. "And it's not human." Russell Accord, an experienced tracker, had another idea. "It's not about the mine," he said. "It's about what's using it." He pointed toward the ridge. The ground around the entrance showed no human footprints, only deep, heavy impressions, spaced far apart, as if something large had walked upright but with an unfamiliar stride. They collected samples, hair caught on a timber beam, bits of organic material, and strange crystalline dust coating the rocks. Lab results stunned them. The hair contained both human and unknown primate DNA. And the crystal dust? It glowed faintly under light, a form of bioluminescence. That night, Bryce sat alone reviewing the footage again. Part of him wanted to dismiss it, maybe a glitch, maybe an illusion. But then he reached the final frame, that blurred face, the faint eyes staring back into the lens, and beneath the static, breathing. As the sun set behind the ridge, the team prepared for another night. None of them said it out loud, but everyone felt it. The forest wasn't empty. It was watching. Bryce sat by the monitors while Maria placed new magnetic field sensors around the camp. Whenever energy fluctuations occurred, the sensors chirped softly. Within an hour, the chirping began, rhythmic, steady, and strongest near the mine entrance. "That's not random," Maria said. "It's pulsing, almost like a pattern." Russell swept the area with a thermal scope. Slowly, he scanned the trees and froze. "Got something," he said sharply. A shape appeared beyond the tree line, tall, upright, and warm against the cold background. "It's not an animal," he muttered. "It's holding still, watching." For nearly half a minute, the figure didn't move. Then, with deliberate precision, it stepped sideways behind a boulder and vanished. Maria rushed over. "Did you get it?" Russell nodded. "Yeah, it moved the second I looked away, like it knew." Moments later, a motion sensor alarmed something had crossed the perimeter wire. The crew froze. "It's close," the pilot whispered. They turned their flashlights toward the mine. The beams cut through the fog. Nothing at first. Then a low, guttural sound echoed from within the tunnel. It wasn't quite a growl, more like a heavy breath that almost formed words. "Back up," Bryce ordered, voice calm but tight. He knew it was a warning. The mine wasn't abandoned. It was occupied. No one slept. The forest that had once felt peaceful now seemed to hold its breath. The wind stopped. Even the birds stayed silent. A thick fog crept between the trees, wrapping the ridge in gray. Bryce looked exhausted, but focused. "We're getting one more look," he said. "If it's still here, we'll find it." They climbed the slope carefully, carrying scanners and cameras. From the top, the valley below looked endless, a green ocean covered in mist. The mine entrance appeared as a small black scar in the hillside. Maria unfolded the long-range heat scope and aimed it downward. The screen lit up, and she froze. "Bryce," she whispered, "you need to see this." Bright shapes glowed on the monitor, moving slowly through the fog. Russell leaned in. "There's more than one," he said. "3, no, 4. The figures walked side by side, not random like animals. Their movements were calm, steady, almost military. "That's a patrol," Maria murmured. Bryce's face hardened. "They're circling the ridge. They know exactly where we are." The pilot switched on the drone again, desperate for a clear image. But the signal twisted into static at once. The noise wasn't random. It pulsed in rhythm, matching the strange magnetic readings from earlier. "It's copying our systems," she realized. "It's learning how to block us." Suddenly, the air felt heavy. Pressure built around them like an invisible weight. Everyone's breathing grew tight. Then, from somewhere below, came that same deep exhale they had heard the night before, but closer, too close. Russell lifted his flashlight and caught a flash of movement between the trees. Something tall as a doorway, gliding fast through the fog. "There!" he shouted. Before anyone could react, the motion sensors around the mine erupted in alarm. Red lights blinked through the mist. Something was advancing from every side. "They're closing in!" Maria yelled. The team turned in circles, lights slicing through gray haze. Shadows moved between the trees, quick but controlled. They could hear it. Footsteps, heavy and deliberate, circling them like hunters testing prey. The drone camera came alive for one brief second. On screen stood a towering shape, upright and blurred, its head tilted slowly, as though staring straight into the lens. Then the feed went black. Russell raised his rifle but kept his finger off the trigger. "Something's pacing us," he said. They all heard it now. Soft thuds, crunching leaves, steady breathing somewhere close. Maria whispered, "It's thinking." That realization chilled everyone more than the cold air. Bryce gave the order to fall back. They moved quickly down the ridge toward their trucks. The forest never attacked, never screamed. It only watched. Every time someone looked over a shoulder, they caught a hint of motion that vanished as soon as the light touched it. By the time they reached base camp, dawn was bleeding through the fog. No one spoke. They packed their gear in silence. Finally, Bryce said quietly, "It didn't want us to prove it exists. It wanted to make sure we never come back." Later, when they reviewed what little footage survived, they noticed something hidden in the final seconds of audio. Slowed down, the static wasn't noise at all. It was breathing, slow, rhythmic, aware. Bryce switched off the monitor. No one said a word. Weeks later, the Discovery Network placed the entire Oregon project under classified review. No public statement, no follow-up episode. The footage disappeared into silence. Bryce later admitted in an interview, "We went looking for proof of Bigfoot. But maybe it wasn't Bigfoot looking back." Each member of Expedition Bigfoot remembers that night differently. Yet all agree on one thing: the mine was not empty. Something intelligent lived there. Maria still keeps the data drives. She says the magnetic patterns pulsed like a language, repeating in groups of 3, as if responding to their sensors. Russell believes the creatures were territorial. "They didn't want to kill us," he explained later. "They wanted to warn us off, like guards protecting something." As for Bryce, he has never returned to that part of Oregon. In public talks, he still calls himself a scientist, but his tone has changed. "Science expects proof," he says. But some things don't want to be proven. The samples collected near the mine continue to puzzle laboratories. The hair showed markers from both human and unknown primate species. The glowing dust, still faintly luminescent after months, contains minerals not found in local rock. When exposed to radio waves, it vibrates gently, as though reacting to sound. Could it be some form of biological signal, like communication between species, or residue from something we don't yet understand? Even more confusing were the gravitational readings recorded by the drone. They indicated short bursts of force strong enough to bend radio waves, something that happens only near powerful energy fields. Whatever caused those readings wasn't human, mechanical, or geological. It was alive. Hikers now avoid that ridge. Locals still call it the Hollow. They speak of strange lights flickering through the fog at night, and low sounds that roll across the valley like distant thunder. Some believe it's a secret government experiment. Others say it's a new species hidden from the world. A few still whisper the oldest name of all, Bigfoot. But to those who were there, the name doesn't matter. What matters is the memory of that breath in the dark, the moment when the watchers realized they were being watched. If you stand in the Oregon wilderness today, the forest seems peaceful. You can hear water dripping from moss-covered trees, smell pine and wet earth, feel the wind slide between the rocks. But sometimes, when the air goes still and even the birds fall silent, people say they feel a presence. Tall, quiet, patient. Maybe it's just the echo of old legends. Or maybe, somewhere beneath the red rock ridge, something still waits, listening. The expedition Bigfoot team may never return, but their story remains. A reminder that not every mystery wants to be solved, and not every discovery belongs to science. Because in the deep wilderness of Oregon, the truth is still breathing.